Hey guys, for this video here I am doing the Warrior Cats challenge. This includes a few prompts where I have to make warrior cats as certain breeds or sparkle cats and stuff like that. I took suggestions for some of the people in a Discord server that I am, so these are not my own IDs, just the people's IDs for the warrior cats I was supposed to use. So for the first challenge, for the first kind of your own interpretation of a warrior cat, I had to choose Spotted Leaf. Spotted Leaf is actually quite one of my favorite characters in the beginning of the books. Eventually she's kind of, no offense, got annoying, so I kind of loosened up on her a bit. She got a bit too obsessed with fire stuff in my taste, but it's still a very, very fun cat. For this one, we all have the classical Spotted Leaf imagery in our head, and I had the same one. I did struggle a bit with the pose and trying to get anatomy right, which still isn't right, but I just gave up after having a few sketches down and learning that maybe this can't be fixed. I imagine her like being semi-fluff, so she has quite a lot of fluff in this drawing, but I also imagine she has a very sleek face and all the sleek body parts, like her legs and stuff like that, but just with tufts of fur, which give her a bit more personality in my opinion. For her base color, I just chose the, cram color that we all use. It's a very basic color, but it is one that just gives me, direct Spotted Leaf vibes. For the markings, I just chose for the simple ones that we all know and love. I tried to go for my own interpretation, but if I went for my own interpretation, I know I would have done exactly the same thing, which just, kind of ruins the whole point of this prompt, but I just didn't want to try and do it again, as I've already tried to sketch her out at least 3 times in this prompt, so that was not fun. So I just continued to try and fix this. It's not the best design that I've done, but for now I think it will do. I wasn't very proud of this one, definitely not actually. I was also quite confused on what to do with the rest of the markings and if she didn't look too bland. In my opinion, she looks a little bland. I don't really quite like her in Miles' style. I tried to fix it by adding some more texture, but that didn't work, so I stuck with the cutout lines of, the basic markings. I went with yellow eyes just because I know that is canon, and yeah, I just thought it was super cute and fun to draw, and this is technically just your regular old Spotted Leaf, but then in my style, kind of. So there's not much to add other than having this kind of thing. So next up is Ivy Pool. I had to draw an opposite of Ivy Pool, so that's what I did. Most people would have gone for like a fluffy Ivy Pool or happy or something like that. I went with kind of a creeped out Ivy Pool, starved to death. And in my eyes, it would have been like a kind of she got lost in Black Forest and she couldn't find her way home. She starved eventually in her way to get out, but she eventually returned to the clans where she would be, more muscled up. The reason why I made her so skinny is because I thought it would be fun to experiment with that. Most people, like I said, would have gone for a kind of Dovewing kind of ID, because that's actually quite opposite of her too, but I thought it would be fun to experiment with, skinnier cats instead of the muscled cat that she actually is. It just gives her a whole nother vibe to it, in my opinion. I like doing the line art for it too, because it just was so blocky, and in my opinion, I just love doing textured and blocky line art. It's just fitting with my style, and it just was very fun to do. As you can see in my other drawings, I love doing blocky stuff. For the colors and design, I wasn't quite sure what to do, so I tried a few things actually. To invert the colors was just too easy for me, at first I thought at least, so I tried doing a few different things, but I thought in my opinion that Ivy Pool just got very lost in that. So I deleted all that and just decided to invert her actual markings, form a nifty design. I didn't want to do that at first because it just seemed like something that is just easy of, but I just couldn't figure anything out and I didn't want to get too frustrated after doing art for a bit today. So I just decided to do the easy route and just inverted the colors. I did still try and experiment a little bit with the colors. I didn't want to make it too obvious, but I just couldn't figure it out, so I decided to go the easy route and just keep it a little clean. For eyes, I did do the opposite of blue, which is red, and I threw a little bit of blue highlight in that to just give it a little bit of a taste. And that was Ivy Pool. The next one I had to do was Broken Star in a kind of realism. Now, I don't have a realistic style. I might have some realistic properties for it, but not like actual realism. So I decided to just go with realistic markings and not try and force myself to go and do realistic styling, as it's not gonna work for me and I would just get frustrated yet again. So I went with this blocky kind of style to make sure people know he's a villain and he isn't very nice. I tried to involve a lot of triangles in this, just so people, kind of get the idea, because in TV shows, even though this is a kind of realistic style, in a realistic TV show, they always try and add like little blocks towards them, just to give them a bit more villainy look. For the markings, I wasn't quite sure what to do, so I pulled up a picture of a cartoonish broken star and tried to focus off of that, but that didn't quite work, so I tried to do something else and just did like those regular tabby markings, because I didn't really know what else to do. Just being brown just seemed a little too bland for me, which I didn't imagine broken star being, so I tried to add some tabby markings. In my opinion, it started to look a lot like Tiger Star, actually. But I kept going, not trying to stress myself too much. I didn't want to redo it a lot of times, as it was just a bit of an exercise doing this prompt. It was still fun though, and for the scarring and stuff like that, I still tried to keep it a little bit realistic, in the sense of making it not too obvious, as it would probably heal very well in a real life world, and I added some whiskers. So this one was probably my absolute favorite, a Sparkle Cat Scourge. This one was suggested to me in one of the Warrior Cats groups I'm in, and my god, I had absolute blast drawing this. I might just try and redo this one with full-on shading and stuff like that, because it was just so much fun to sketch even. It really tried to give me an experimental style with me, which I don't do often, so that was very fun to experiment, and I might try to do that more, just because it gives my style so much more life and so much more meaning than just stiff cats looking around. So this was definitely one of my favorite ones, and I absolutely adored it. Even if it had to be a bit edgy, we all know that Scourge is one of the edgiest cats that we all know, so I was really happy that someone suggested to let me do this prompt with this cat. The feet did look a little weird in the sketch, so I tried to fix that with the line art, which I'm doing right now, and god, it was so much fun to just draw the teeth and stuff like that, just make him look mentally insane, but at the same time just give him these bright colors as soon. It just was so much fun and just so much alike my style that I actually wanted to experiment with it more, not like those bright colors, just giving myself more liberty to do these kind of poses, because this was really fun and I don't do it very often, mostly because I'm stuck with, oh, it must look perfect and realistic, which this kind of doesn't, and it was actually a huge relief to me, because it was just so much fun. And these teeth and just making him look absolutely insane, I just adored it, and these bright colors just fit him so well, because everyone knows he's the edgelord of the whole Warrior Cats community. With his paw, I gave him a bit of skull, just giving him an extra bit of edge, and his collar I made purple with, the teeth sticking out, just a general Scourge. I would have liked to add more jewelry to him, just to make him a bit more edgy as others did, but I decided that this was fine, and he is absolutely one of the favorite one I did. So next one is Maple Shade. I did a different pose for that, but I didn't like it. With this Maple Shade, I had to follow the art of the books, but sadly I couldn't really find a good reference picture from the book, so I just used what Warriors Wiki had to offer, which was just a whole mess. I didn't like the design of it, but as it was a prompt, I pushed myself forward and tried to do the design as best to my abilities, considering, no offense, that the wiki art is kind of, how do I put this lightly, a mess. I appreciate that they have it, but it's just so cluttered with the thick lines and the small imagery that I couldn't really follow exactly where everything was, so I just went off kind of my intuition, and then I just line arted it to just forget about the markings for a moment. With the line art, I actually quite enjoyed it, just adding all these fluffs, so that's the thing I did enjoy, adding the fluffs and the tree branch. It just it just fit her style. She just looks so sassy on it and I absolutely adore it. I wanted to make her tail a little floofier than normal and I added a cute paw. So then I went on to the hell of the coloring. I wasn't really sure what to do because it just looked messy and it looks dumb. So I just tried to experiment with myself a bit and tried to just follow it as much as I could, as it was really hard to follow with all these cluttered images and thick lines and just not knowing where to put the markings considering the art. So I just followed myself a bit and I didn't want to stress it too much. I did follow the picture as much as I could and just used a bit of free liberty, if I'm being 100% honest. I know she had a novel, Maple Shade Revenge, however the art on that just didn't fit with me on the same level as I wanted it to. I couldn't really base anything off that in the full body picture, so I just decided to go with the Warriors Wiki one. And that is technically all I have from Maple Shade. So this one was all suggested to me at one of the warrior cats I served them in. Swiftpaw as a munchkin. Now this this really is something else, honestly. It was kind of hard for me to do it because it just looked like a kitten. However, I just continued and didn't whine too much about it. I was tired, I wanted to go sleep, and I just went on with trying to make it look not too much like a kitten and a bit more like a munchkin. To me it looked more like a chibi style more than anything, so I wasn't quite happy with this one. Though I do see Swiftpaw being a munchkin, honestly, just because he's trying to be so tough even though he's not that. Okay, yeah, he's kind of tough, but he was just trying a little too hard to be tough, in my opinion. This was a very quick drawing to do. He has a very easy design, and since it was chibi-like, I didn't have to do many lines and many difficulties, so I just went along with this, and he's almost finished already. In the end, these are super fun to do, and I decided to add them all into a big canvas to make it a bit more insightful and easier to post on social media and stuff like that. I suggest you guys try this if you want to experiment a bit more with your style or just get, a little bit freshed up on your designing skills and stuff like that. And yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed the videos and I'll see you guys later.